Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning into Sims Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today we're going to be reviewing Big Little Spells by Hazel Beck. This is the second novel in the Witch Lore series. I just saw that a fourth book is announced, so I don't quite know how many books are going to be in this series, but you know what? I'm not mad about it. I love Small Town Big Magic so much, which always shocks my friend Gina, because you would not find this book in fiction. You would not find this book in fantasy. Where would you find it? The romance section. And I tend to avoid the romance section. I don't really like romance because I'm not, when I pick up a book, no fault to anyone and people are allowed to like the things that they like. But for me, romance just doesn't do it for me. When I read a story, I grew up on fantasy, like epic fantasy. Specifically like Dragonlance. So there's like these epic stories going on. Or stories that, they can be simple. They don't have to be epic, but they're really story oriented. While also delving into like that characterization a lot. And even my friend Gina, she tried to read it. She really couldn't get into it. She's like, I couldn't get into it. She's like, there wasn't enough romance. She agrees with me that it really should be in the fiction section. Because it's more like something like this Discovery of Witches. Or Practical Magic, just more with a rom-com feel. And I love my rom-coms. I really do. Shh, don't tell. I do like a good rom-com. I love watching rom-coms. But when it comes to reading, I prefer books with a little more to it, I'm just not here for the romance. It just doesn't do it for me. So, yes, I know I always roll my eyes when I talk about romance books. This is me eating my words because I actually really do love these two books. And I think this was such a great follow-up to the first one because the first one followed Emerson, Rebecca's sister. And now this one follows Rebecca. And, she's brought back to the town after the events of the first book. She's like, oh, shit. She's like, I really don't want to mess with the Joywood Coven. I don't want to mess with them. But her sister and her friends and even her love interest kind of push her to it. And they're like, no, you don't understand. Joywood Coven is corrupt. And you and your sister are like the new OP witches who can save the world. So get your head out of your butt and help us save the world. And the challenge is, the Joywood Coven. When the sisters came of age, they erased Emerson's memory. So she has no memory in the first book that she was a witch. And then in this book, you discover, they stripped Rebecca of her powers and also exiled her. So she wasn't able to come back to St. Cyprian. But now she's back. So the challenge is now like, okay, prove us wrong. We're going to set you up with a couple challenges. And if you prove us wrong, well then, okay, we'll eat our words. They're corrupt, obviously. They're evil. And so she comes to this realization. She's like, oh, hell. All right, I'm going to really do this. I'm going to do this thing. She's fierce. She's fun. She's a smart ass. But I love that about her. I like how you have this really different perspective versus Emerson. You can see how these two sisters balance each other out. Because Emerson's all planning, organization. We need a plan. We're going to get this. Very, kind of prim almost. Whereas Rebecca, she's all tattooed up and pierced up, and she's just like kind of hippy dippy, and she's a smartass. But ultimately, I love that about her. I love how you can definitely see that these two girls are sisters, especially in this novel, because they have to find their way back to each other. Again, one had her memory stripped, one was exiled for 10 years. So they have to reform their relationship. So you have a really good sisterly bond moment in the story. And she also has to reconnect with her friends who she hasn't seen in 10 years. And she's reestablishing this found family element as well. And this is why I like this book, because it really focuses in on the plot. It really focuses in on these character dynamics and giving them the same attention as it does the romance aspect. Now, I love my broody men. I really do. Like Cloud. Cloud. Sorry. I love my broody characters. I'm here for it. So Nicholas Frost, I mean, I was dazzled by him myself. He is dashing, he is broody, he is powerful. He's kind of a know-it-all. He's an immortal witch, so he kind of does know it all. And no one in a town really trusts him because in order to become an immortal witch, you must have sacrificed something very precious to you. So he doesn't tell anyone what. So he's kind of like taboo for everyone. They're just like, no, don't trust him. Don't talk to him. Like, stay away from him. And she's like, yeah, no, he's the one who can help me become a powerful witch, and he's super hot, so I'm going to go hang out with him. And she does, and it's great. I love their banter. I love that instead of being the naive teenage girl who was like hopelessly crushing on him, she's now like, she is fierce. She's in his face. She challenges him. And when they do explore that romantic interest and develop their relationship, it fits, it works, but it also doesn't take away from the story. In fact, it adds to the story. It doesn't take away from the story. It doesn't take away from those character dynamics. And that's what I really appreciate about this book. Those are the type of romances I guess I like. It doesn't need to be the core part of the story. It just has to exist. I mean, I'll read books. A lot of young adult has romance in it. But, I mean, for me, I can't have it take away from the story. I can't have it take away from the plot. I can't have it take away from that character development. In this case, it adds to all of that because the authors waited. They slowly built up that romance throughout the novel with the banter and the in-your-faceness and, you know, reestablishing Rebecca in her hometown that she's been gone from 10 years. So I really appreciate that from the storytelling. And I loved it. It was fun. It was heartfelt. I love the found family trope. That's probably one of my favorite tropes ever. And I love I like I said, I love a brooding man. I really do. Which is funny because my husband's not really broody at all. Between the two of us, I'm the doom and gloom girl. But I loved the story because it was really heartfelt and fun and energetic, and it had a really good story. It had really good pacing. It just worked. It just simply worked. And it was, you know, I'm really excited. Truly Madly Deeply, I think, is the third book, and it follows their friend. And I love how each book just follows a separate character in the series. So I'm here for it. I can't wait to read the third book. Super excited that there's a fourth book that's announced, and as a Wiccan myself, I love how the witchy aspect is represented in the book. And I'm all here for witchy books. I love my witchy books. Witchy, you got me. If it's witchy, dime, give it to me. Por favor. In that case, yes, I do highly recommend this book. I think I'd have to give it a 4 out of 5. Maybe a soft 4.5 out of 5, because I really don't have any complaints about it, you know? I really don't have a lot of complaints about this book. So yeah, 4 out of 5. Of course, as always, I will include links in the description if you do want to check out the book yourself. On that note, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.